What's going on, everybody? It's Dr. Chris Featherstone here for yet another episode of UnSKripted. Listen, it is Tuesday night. You know what that means. I have some of the biggest, the baddest, the best wrestlers of today and yesteryear. And this night is no different. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Because I am going to stop because I'm nowhere near as good as an announcer as this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and let him have his shine because I'm nowhere near as good. I was going to give you all types of fun, voice mods but he doesn't need that, ladies and gentlemen. And he was really, really good in the WWE as both, with the Ascension and NXT. Some people of you might not know that as far as that's concerned. And he came out and he is what made the Alberto Del Rio character. You see how I wrote that R there? The Alberto Del Rio character, he was the one who really put the layers that he really needed in his character to really help him out. He came with his own personal ring announcer, ladies and gentlemen. And this guy here is that personal ring announcer. He is Ricardo Rodriguez.
I love it. I love it. You're hired. Whatever it is that you're gonna be doing for the next couple of weeks, drop it. You're gonna be coming to Pennsylvania, and you're gonna be my personal ring announcer from here on out.
Thank you, man.
Oh, that's great. That's great. No, but you know what? You mentioned something like it was great. I think the dual team of Alberto and myself was a great team package. I think it was great. So yeah, we complemented each other, I believe.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. It wouldn't have been different if he just would have came out by himself. You know what I mean? You really added the color in his character that was much needed to be like, not only am I a Mexican aristocrat, I have my own personal ring announcer. And I'm better than you. You know what I mean? Like, sure. My name is Alberto Del Rio, but you already know that. You know what I mean? So
there you go. I do have a little bit of a confession, and I was just telling. So I was talking to you off air. We just finished training at my school, so I'm not the cleanest at the moment. But so originally, when I got contacted about this, I didn't fully read the actual email, so I read it as 11 o'clock in the morning. So I was sitting here at around 10:30, 10:45, and I wasn't getting a link. I was like, huh, maybe he forgot. And then I read again and it said PM. I was like,
Yeah.
silly.
No worries, man. Well, it's actually a good it's a good segue to plug where you train at. So
Yeah.
go right ahead, man.
Yeah, so I've lived in Lancaster, Pennsylvania for Lancaster. I have to say it right, Lancaster,
Mhm.
Pennsylvania for the last almost 7 months now. And I have my own pro wrestling academy here in Lancaster called Three Legacies Wrestling. We started our own promotion as well too. So we just had our first event last Friday, which was amazing, and we were literally only a couple seats away from being sold out, which was awesome. Great
Wow.
turnout, great fans, great people that we had as part of the crew. The students that we have, they put everything that they had into it. So I'm very grateful and thankful for every single person that was a part of it. Sure.
Very nice. What endeavor? I know you were training with Kali for a while.
Yeah.
Now, what's endeavored you to train? Keep training and train in the states now.
Well, it was something that I've always enjoyed. I've always enjoyed the aspect of pro wrestling training.
Hmm.
Uh, I do feel that I was able to do it. Well, I'm gonna pat myself on the back pretty well. I mean, I did it in India. I was there for 6 months.
Hmm.
I went and I was able to teach in England for a little bit, briefly in Australia, uh, all throughout the U.S. And then I just spent the last years, roughly about a year, in Egypt. We opened up an academy in Cairo,
Nice.
Egypt. So when I ended up coming back to the States, there was a whole series of misunfortunate events that kind of led to me staying here with the COVID and the flights and couldn't fly out and getting my results back, a whole series of things. So I ended up staying here. And then, and I've been very open about my sobriety, my addiction to alcohol problems in the past. So that's kind of what ended up leading me to staying in the US. I ended up going to rehab center here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania called Blueprints for Addiction Recovery. And when I got out, I enjoyed it. I liked it here. I liked it here. It's small by comparison to the big cities.
Hmm.
It's a lot more quiet, which in reality is kind of what I need
Hmm.
to better myself, to stay focused,
Yeah.
not to be around temptation as much as we would in the big cities. Um, like right now, I mean, granted, it's only 11 o'clock, but by 9 o'clock, everything shuts down here.
Hmm.
So there's no temptation at all. I'm sure there is, but
Yeah.
if there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah.
But like I said,
The
I've had
exposure is less, at least.
right. But
Mhm.
I've had the academy for the last 3 months, technically 2 months, but I've had it for 3 months, and then we opened up in September. Thankfully, like I said, in the last 2 months, we have maybe like 7, 8, 9 kids, students, trainees, and they're coming along great.
Very
Like I
nice.
said, we just had an event on Friday, and we have another one coming up on November 18th here in Lancaster. So I'm super excited. I'm grateful and thankful for everything that's been happening and how the process has occurred. Even going backwards a little bit to where I thought that was like the end of it. I hated everything. I was so bitter and angry, and something that we briefly chatted about, off air. But now through this whole new process, I've been more focused, more mindful, and definitely a whole lot more grateful than before.
Awesome, man. Great to hear that, man. I just you deserve a round of applause for that one for sure, man. Good stuff. Great to hear that, man. Lancaster's that's Eastern PA, right?
It's central. It's central.
Central.
It's
Okay.
about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Philly, and about three and a half, 4 from Pittsburgh. So it's
Okay. Yeah, so it is pretty
uh,
central.
most everybody will call it the Amish country, which I think is awesome. I think it's
Yeah,
great.
that's pretty cool.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just in Pittsburgh last a few weeks ago, actually.
All
Yeah.
right.
I'm a state away from you. I'm in Ohio. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, and even from here, from what I've gathered is that people from this area are more Philadelphia oriented, and they treat Pittsburgh like it's its own state, like it's its own
Yeah,
area, like it's
really.
far away.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, I mean, it's closer. I mean, Pittsburgh's Western Pennsylvania as opposed
Yeah.
to Philly being Eastern Pennsylvania. Like there's that's like Bethlehem, Allentown, Phillies around all that, right? And then the more west you go, you hit Lancaster, right? And then even the more west you go there, you go to Pittsburgh.
For as long as I've been here, I still don't know any of the surrounding areas really. I know like the place that I've been to wrestle. But if you tell me, oh, hey, where's Hershey? I know Hershey's close, but
Yeah.
where's the map is it? I don't know.
Nice. I was just in Hershey last year in Harrisburg. Yeah, so Pennsylvania's nice, man. I can see why you enjoy Pennsylvania. It's interesting because Lancaster, I have heard about Lancaster, and so you're a current native, so you're current resident, I should say. So is it Lancaster or Lancaster?
All right, so we have a Lancaster, California. That's what
Okay.
I've always known growing up, Lancaster, California.
Mhm.
And then when I got here and I read it as it's spelled, I get corrected and I get the evil eye. It's Lancaster. So
Lancaster, is that what it is?
Lancaster. So
Lancaster,
yeah,
you're right. Okay.
Lancaster. So you don't say the aster.
Yeah,
Listen.
yeah, I got you. Custer. Yeah, and like okay. It's a short A instead of a long A. It's not like
Yeah, it's like Lancaster.
it's okay, got you. We have a Lancaster, Ohio, which is actually about 20 minutes away from where I stay. So yeah, it's I guess Lancaster is it's a pretty popular city, And it's a
Yeah,
small city here in Ohio too. So I guess it has that small city feel in both Ohio and Pennsylvania. So
sure.
yeah, there you go. Good stuff, man. Where can they find you on social media as far as your training is concerned before we get into
So the academy, basically on Facebook, you can go and you have to spell that out. It's Three Legacies Wrestling.
okay.
On YouTube, excuse me, well, YouTube as well. Three Legacies Wrestling. Instagram, it's 3L Wrestling, and then there's just the number 3L Wrestling.
Yeah.
On Twitter, Three Legacies. The number 3 Legacies.
Okay.
But more than anything else, I mean the Facebook, and that's spelled out Three Legacies Wrestling.
Cool. Three Legacies Wrestling on Facebook. Go follow them. Is there any open enrollment coming up or anything, or what? How's the schedule coming about?
So we have an event coming up on November 18th, and then I know the
Nice.
info is on the flyer too on the site.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm actually excited about it. It'll be a second event. Like I said, the first one was very successful, thankfully. And it all has to do with like the fan base and then the team that we had behind it. So
Mhm.
definitely, it was definitely not a solo project. It was a whole team effort. With my partner Chris Reisbach and my other partner Robert Guinea. And also the everybody that helped, Larry Pease, Chio Valentine, Frost, Chio Frost. I don't know which one you would prefer. Either way, and like I said, all the students that helped out and made it so possible, and all the help that we got with Andrew Schneckman. Thank you, man. So, like I said, we have a good team behind us, thankfully. So it's a team effort.
Fantastic. Yep. Cool. We ready to dive into these questions, my man?
Let's rock and roll, man.
All right. Guillermo's asking, how was working with Alberto Del Rio, and why did you start working with as part of the Spanish broadcast team?
All right, Guillermo. So I love working with Alberto. Like I said prior, I think we were a really good tandem team.
Mhm.
We complemented each other. We fed off of each other. We were literally always together on the road. So I think that chemistry was able to be portrayed on TV.
Mhm.
And I still to this day feel that what we did has not been replicated. And I've said it before too. I will never compare myself to Paul Heyman because Paul Heyman is a whole another level tier.
Mhm.
Uh, but I mean, I would rank myself up there in not to that level, but just like whatever tiers underneath them, I would put myself up there. Because I don't think a lot of people have that come after us have worked as closely and as well.
Mhm.
Because it wasn't just like the ring announcing thing; it was also working, putting matches together. Because we used to do that a lot. Alberto was out doing media or phone calls or whatever, and then the producer or whoever his opponent was, they would come to me, and then we were like, hey, so what do you guys want to do? And then we would start just kind of putting together the match. And Alberto will come back, and then he would like, all right, so what you guys got? And we're like, boom, 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 and then done. Uh,
Nice.
and then
Nice.
also too, being the messenger, and I think this is something that I've mentioned in the past too. The difference between a valet and a manager, that's wide, and we can go on and on about that. But I was also the messenger in between the wrestlers, the ref. Um, and I know I've used this example in the past. Say Alberto's working with wrestling Randy. Let's just say Randy or Dolph, doesn't matter. Um, they separate. Dolph is in the corner. Alberto will yell at me, "Hey, tell me to stay in the corner," and then I would run around and I would tell Dolph, "Stay in the corner and watch the kick."
Mhm.
So because oftentimes that's the ref's kind of a not
Mm-hmm.
physical job, but the messenger. So he would tell me in Spanish, and I would run around and I would tell whoever he's working, "Oh, we got stay in the corner, da 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 da." Or I would constantly remind him because I was such a spot monkey wrestling. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
would remind them, "Hey," so they would look, where I'm at. Is like, "What's next?" I'm like, "Boom, boom, boom, boom," and they're like, "All right." Because oftentimes when they have long promos, they don't really focus too much on the match itself per se. They have their key points,
Mm-hmm.
but and then again, me being the spot monkey that I am, I'll remember all that stuff. And then so that's another aspect that I don't think other people that did something similar would touch us in that aspect.
Very interesting. Yeah. Speaking of Spot Monkey, El Local. How did the El Local gimmick came to be and why the mask?
So El Local was actually a joke. At least the name was. So that outfit, the gear that I used to wear, that's what I used to wear on Independence before WWE, and I used
Mhm.
to go under the name of Chimera. A chimera is a three animal beast. It's a hybrid of three different animals. Um, which I'll get to all that stuff later too. And then one day we were, I want to, so I mean, I got to wrestle in FCW quite a bit
Mhm.
with the outfit and whatever. And eventually I took off the mask. But then when I started wrestling on TV or on the main roster rather, excuse me, they needed something for like Sin Cara. They needed somebody for guys that were coming up from NXT to give them like that weekend, exposure in front of the crowd or the European tours. So they started putting me under the mask to wrestle with these guys. So I was playing double duty basically, the Ricardo and then the Local thing. The Local thing happened because one day when I first did it, and I want to say it was against Sin Cara, they go, "Hey, so what name do you want to use?" And I suggested Chimera, which is what I used to use on Independence. And then they come back and they're like, "Oh, I don't think we can do it because of copyright or something, whatever." I don't
Mhm.
remember the exact reason. So then I just jokingly say, "Well, just call me the local guy because whatever, right?" And then I think it was Road Dog. Road Dog goes, "How do you say it in Spanish?" He's like, "El local." He's like, "That." I was like, "Ah," and it just kind of stuck. And I
Uh,
tried to change it. I tried to change it so many times, and I think because I kept selling it, they kept
mm,
pushing it even more, and that's shame on me. But
mm,
started off as a call me the local guy. I don't care.
mm.
Just kind of stuck.
So good old Brian was the one who stuck it on you.
I want to say it was. I want to say it was Brian. Yeah, I want to say it was Brian. So sure.
Rachel's asking, greetings from Puerto Rico. What do you consider has been your biggest accomplishment in wrestling? And if you could be a manager for three legends, who would you manage and why?
So I'll go with the second question first. I would definitely go back with Alberto. I mean, if we had the option to go back to WWE, I would definitely go back with Alberto. If I ever had the opportunity, I mean, obviously it's not possible now, but Eddie Guerrero would have been amazing.
Mm,
Although he doesn't need it, but it still would have been awesome.
hmm
As far as like current wrestlers, I would love to have done something with Andrade. Even right now, Raquel Rodriguez, we have the same last name. So hey, cousin, you know
There
what's
you
up?
go. Hmm. Yeah,
Or Hector Garza, Los Lotarios, Angel Garza, excuse me, Angel Garza, excuse me,
yeah.
Los Lotarios. I would have loved to do something with them.
Hmm.
And I know you and Mick Foley pointed that out once on Twitter, and I was like, yes, please, that would have been awesome. But it is what it is. Now the first question, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm really interested in that Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Where that could go because I like Raquel a lot. It's just that, and I don't mind her as a baby face either, but it's just seemed like they're kind of pigeonholing her, and she's not really getting the shine that I would like her to get. It just seems like a heel turn would make sense with you as her ring announcer, or you just kind of bringing her out, what I mean, announcer her out just as a solo act, and then
Oh,
maybe that can lead to a good, baby face turn down the line. But to me, Raquel as a solo act with you as a manager, that just screams money to me.
I would be super down to do that. So if anybody in WWE is watching, just
Yes, indeed.
I'm available.
You
Um,
heard it here.
so yeah, I'm here. So as far as like the biggest accomplishments, man, there's so many, but for different reasons. Obviously, working WrestleMania, that's such a huge thing. Getting my own action figure, being in a video game, getting to travel uh, for wrestling, of all things, of pro wrestling, which I was told from a very young upstart, it's just a hobby. Get a real job, and it became my job. that hobby became a lifestyle. And then 16 years later, here I am. We're still doing this. I have my own academy. I have my own promotion now. I got to travel. I got to live in India. I got to live in Australia, or briefly, I got to live in England, Mexico, all over the states, Egypt. I lived like a mile away from the pyramids, uh,
Wow.
all because of wrestling. So I have so many amazing accomplishments, but for all for different reasons.
Yep.
But it all comes down to pro wrestling, which that's me. I'm grateful for.
Very nice. Remember, Billy was asking, what was your best memory when you became Alberto's personal ring announcer?
You know what? Honestly, I don't know if there's like a best memory because again, it goes back to the same thing of there's so many different times and memories that were so amazing. But I think the first oh snap kind of a moment was when I first met them. I looked at him and I had not watched WWE in a bit. So I looked at Alberto and I was like, well, I don't know why this dude looks so familiar. And I contacted my friend who's a huge wrestling fan. I was like, hey, question. I'm doing this thing with this guy. Who is he? And he's like, that's Dos Caras Jr. And I was like, no way. And I just, that's when like we call it in Spanish, me cayó el 20.
Hmm.
Um, so like I was like, oh snap, that's awesome. So that was kind of cool.
Hmm.
The Royal Rumble where he won it, the Royal Rumble where I was in it. All like I said, different memories, but for different reasons.
Hmm.
Wrestling, John Cena, Rey Mysterio, alongside my friend Alberto, Bret Hart in
Hmm.
Calgary. That's awesome.
Yep.
So different reasons.
What's how the 2000 was it 2011 that he won the Royal Rumble?
He won 2011.
Yeah, the only 40-man battle royal, Royal Rumble. There's been a greatest battle royal since then, but that
There
was
was
still the only 40-man battle royal. He still has that
distinction.
yes, indeed, distinction is of winning that. So when was it, as far as what you know, when was he scheduled? Like, how far away from January was it on the books for him to win? And was it, I know he ended up losing to Edge at WrestleMania. Was that in the books too? What was the whole, kind of story, or what was the plan for that?
So the winning of it, we kind of knew slightly ahead of time,
Hmm.
but we also were aware that hey, things could always change. We're
Hmm.
very aware of that.
Hmm.
So whenever they tell us things, we just kind of take it for what the grain of salt. And then when we found out, well, they told Alberto. Alberto told me, um, and when he told me, he was like, "Hey, stay close to Gorilla," because he had mentioned it, but then when it actually that day of before he goes out I think it was Malenko. He pulls me. He's like, "Hey, we need you by Gorilla." And Alberto had just told me, "Be by Gorilla." So I figured out what was happening,
Hmm.
especially once we saw who the last two were. So that was awesome. That was an
Oh,
awesome.
so Santino had no chance of winning. Then is what you're saying.
No, 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 hold on. That's my that's my friend. Like, sorry, Santi. Uh, But what was cool about it was, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be mistaken, but I think right after that they had that elimination chamber with Santino and Daniel Bryan, where they were the last two, and the
Yeah,
way they played that off was so good. You legit
yeah,
said Santino could have beat Daniel Bryan.
yeah,
Over
yeah.
So that was awesome. It's so well done. And then the way they put the Rumble at the end, there was that
Mhm.
little bit where for a split second you're like, no way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember watching it live, and when he came in, I was like there was so many things racing in my head. Like, okay, well, I imagine our brother's being pushed to the moon right now, and then all of a sudden, Santino comes back into the ring, and he
Yeah.
starts like, and the crowd just was going bananas for it, and it really worked too. And I was
That's one
like,
thing I will always be grateful for WWE of how they play stuff like that, and that's something
yeah,
that
yeah,
I
just
got
those
to
little
learn.
nuances. Yep.
Yeah, I got
Mhm.
to learn from them, thankfully, of like the little details that make something so much bigger than what it is,
Yep.
and it's not just a one little thing; it's a series of events. But it all starts with one little tweak of something, and then just kind of like a domino effect
Yep.
to everything else, and it's so awesome.
It is absolutely. Let's see here. How was Nadir? How was John Cena backstage, and were you there when his incident with Alex Riley happened?
So I want to say yes.
Hmm.
If it is the incident, then I think we were in Puebla, Mexico. If that was what it was, um, I don't know. It might have been.
Hmm.
But I personally love John Cena. I got to learn so much from him, and just how he learned how to control the crowd was so amazing. And you can see him basically play the crowd like a fiddle,
Yeah.
and anything that he wanted. And that's something that once you're watching him,
Mhm.
um, like you're like, holy heck, that's awesome. Um, I remember specifically there was this one event, and I want to say we're like in Kentucky somewhere, and they were doing a live event. And obviously, because the live event, there's no side camera, so the guys talk to each other a little louder.
Yeah.
And so it's customary now because as a wrestling fan base, we've already trained the fans that when you we grab the other guy in a hold, right, to get them back up.
Hmm.
So then they start doing that. Alberto grabs John in the sleeper, and then the crowd starts coming. And then I heard Alberto. He's like, "All right, they're there, ready, let's go." And then as he's getting him up, John goes, "No, no, no, they're not there yet. Bring him back down."
Mm.
And he brings him back down. So the crowd just does like, "Oh," type of thing, right? But I kid you not, almost immediately, right after, the crowd came out even higher than what they were prior. And that to me was one of those moments I was like, "What the what?
Hmm. Hmm.
I didn't know that." Um, but I got to learn so much from him, and then thankfully he was always so good to us. And he used to call Alberto Presidente, and then I was Mini Presidente. And that was also like a thing that Arnie used to call us. Arnie used to call us Mini Presidente or
Hmm.
Presidente. Um, so yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about John. The work that he did, well, all the make a wishes, and then just the interaction that he has with kids. That to me is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, we got to do something. I can't remember what year it was. I want to say 2013 or 13 maybe. It was a tribute to the troops or 12. So we got to do the whole thing with him. It was myself, Alberto, John, um, uh, Maria, no, not Maria Canellis, Eve Mendes, Eve Torres, excuse me, Eve Torres, and then Zach Ryder.
Hmm.
And then so we got to do the whole like tour around like the hospitals and all that stuff, and then just how he was with the soldiers, and it's amazing. It really is amazing. You have to see in person.
Yeah. Nice. Unscripted's asking, are you still in touch with RVD since you had become RVD's ring announcer after you broke away from Alberto Del Rio in WWE? And will you and RVD ever work again with each other?
So we actually just had a big pro wrestling event here in Lancaster on August 20th, August 21st, at a baseball stadium called the Barnstormer Stadium. And we brought in RVD. He actually came to the academy. He filmed a little something for us. So yeah, so I still kind of keep in touch with him. And then even after, like on Twitter, we still chit chatted for a quick sec. Um, that was fun though. That was fun. It was different than the Alberto thing, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we still keep in touch. And I used to know RVD from before WWE. I used to train at this before I got signed. I used to train at this place called Knox Pro, which was Rikishi's school in Burbank, California. And this is when RVD was in Impact or TNA, and he had a song called "The Whole Effing Show."
Hmm.
So they came and filmed the music video at Knox Pro, and which actually myself and Rusev Miro were in that video because we used to train together.
Hmm. Interesting.
Miro and
Huh.
I, Rusev, I don't know where he goes right. Miro, sorry, we both got signed the same day.
Very interesting, huh? Speaking of John Cena, I love like random facts. John Cena was in Ready to Rumble.
No,
Yeah,
no.
he was in Ready to Rumble. He had a little blurb of a moment. So he had his blonde type of top
The
gimmick.
prototype
Yeah, the
little buzz
prototype.
cut.
Yeah, he was just like one of the locker room extras
Huh?
in the Ready to Rumble.
That's
Yeah,
funny. I didn't know that.
yep, back in 2000.
That's awesome.
On those lines, would you say that Rob Van Dam, could you ask him whose idea was it to pair with RVD?
So that was a whole weird thing from the beginning because I didn't understand it for like the longest, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't get it either. At this one, I had already been separated from Alberto. This day, I want to say we're in Anaheim, California, and I think it's the Arrowhead Pond. I forget what the arena was. We're all sitting, myself, the Matadors, Alberto, I think one of Sin Cara's. we're all sitting on the bleachers. We're just having a good time. And then Malenko comes over. He's like, "Hey, to me, he's like, hey, did they tell you what you're doing?" I was like, "No." He's like, "You're with RVD today." And then and I love Malenko, but he has this like dry sense of humor. You can't tell if he's BSing you or he's serious.
Mhm.
Um, so you can't tell. So I couldn't make out what he was if he was joking with me or not. And then he walks away, and then I'm looking at Bert. I was like, What just happened?" And later on, I go find him. I was like, "Hey, Dean, just is this happening or what's up?" He's like,
Mhm.
"No, yeah, you're with RVD today." And I was like, "Okay, it doesn't make sense to me, but okay." So
Yeah.
I then they tell us the whole details and stuff, and I was like, "All right, okay." So we
Mhm.
do it for like I think like 2 weeks or so. We do it for like about 2 weeks. Uh, and then eventually I goes like, "Hey, Dean, I have a question. I'm thankful to be back on TV. I really am. I don't get where this is going or what this is for. Can you just let me know like what's the plan or whatever so I can kind of figure out and mold how I'm gonna do this whole thing because I have no idea." And then me doing the same thing as Alberto with RBD does is weird.
Yeah.
And he basically goes, he's like, "Well, basically they needed a connection between Alberto, RBD, and the title, and that bridge is you." I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it."
Mhm.
So that's what they needed. They needed a bridge to connect Alberto the title and then RVD. So that
Gotcha.
lasted, I think, 2 months. I think something like
Yeah,
that.
it was short.
It was
Yeah.
short.
Yeah, it was.
Um,
Yep. All right, last question for tonight. Riju's asking, actually, this one here. Hope you're well. As someone who worked with Punk, what do you think of the AEW controversy?
the same way I'll tell a lot of people. I wasn't there. It's all he said, she said. Uh, I saw the footage. As much as I know Punk, I know he had a reason to do what he did. What that reason is, I don't know. I wasn't there.
Mhm.
I haven't talked to him in a while. We've exchanged tweets in about a year or so.
Mhm.
But never, we haven't had a chat in forever. So I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like he had a reason. What it is, I don't know. Is
Yeah.
it justified? I don't know. Um, so I
Well,
don't know.
well, uh, all right, real quick, last question. Do you think Triple H can do as good as a job as running the company as Vince McMahon?
That's another one. I think it's one of those to be determined things. I
Yeah.
do have faith because if he was able to do what he did with NXT during Triple H's time, and that was just on a small scale. And granted, he made it what it is. I feel like he has an upper hand when it comes to now, and I think he's doing a good job at the moment, bringing in younger talent or younger to the fan base of what used to be there. Um, so time will tell. Honestly, time will tell because I have no idea. But I wish everybody the best. I want success for every single person. I
Yeah.
want success for WWE and AEW. I want success for NWA. I want success for Impact. Because the
Mhm.
more places that there are to work that are successful, the more opportunities can grow for everybody. We can all
That's
make
true.
money out of pro wrestling.
Let's all make money. Yeah. And you
So
just hired me to be an announcer for you.
real.
For your I make really good money as a psychology doctor, so I'm willing to negotiate. Let the listeners know one more time about your wrestling training and slash company.
Yeah, so like you said, I mean, it's called Three Legacies Wrestling. It was founded by myself and Christopher Dreisbach, and a huge help with Robert Guinea, who's a part of it. Um, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania, we're at 134 South Centerville Road in Lancaster, PA, 17603. We've been open for 2 months officially, and we've already ran one event under our banner. We have another one coming up, and we already have a lot of dates already booked up for the new year. So I'm
Nice.
excited for what the future holds. I'm excited to bring pro wrestling back to this area, which it has been absent to pro wrestling in years.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm excited to what we can bring because I know, and it kind of goes back to what we mentioned prior. I want everybody to succeed so we can
Mhm.
all make money together, and then not only that, but give back to the community of something that hasn't been around for a while. So
Yep.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I have a good group of trainees. I'm beyond thankful for each and every single one of them. I'm beyond grateful for the team that's behind us. that's making all this possible because, like I said, it is not a solo project. It is a team effort, and I'm beyond grateful. And actually, Chris just texted me right now.
Nice.
Box. So, what's up, Chris? He just had a newborn not too long ago, so he
Oh,
has to deal with
congrats.
his crying baby.
Very nice. Yes.
So he's probably watching with the baby. But I'm beyond thankful. Like I said, if you guys are able to go on Facebook, type out Three Legacies Wrestling, you'll find it there. And then there's links to our tickets. It's on Eventbrite, Three Legacies Wrestling. Like I said, on Instagram, it's 3L Wrestling. On Twitter, Three Legacies. And yeah, just stay tuned because this is gonna only go up, 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 and above.
Very nice. Very nice. Before we go, can you please? I'm about making moments and making memories. Can you? Remember, is asking if I can have you wish his friend Matt Choice a happy birthday in your announcer's voice.
I can do that. And if anybody else wants any more, we go on Cameo or WWE, I believe one. Anyways, I'll
Oh,
do
perfect first segue there. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, so we'll give it like a little bit of a feel, right?
Yeah.
Damas y caballeros, es mi honor presentarles a ustedes the birthday boy. He is Matt Troy.
Very nice. Very nice. It's been a pleasure, man. Just coming on the show again. It's my second time interviewing you. We talked before, interviewed you in January of 2017. December 16, January 17. So it's been nearly 6 years since we've talked, and so time just flies, man. So it's great to have you back. Great to discuss, have a discussion with you beforehand, man. It's great to talk to you again, especially the Jesus that I see right now, man. I'm just keep going, and I'm proud of you, man. Keep going, keep grinding, keep training, and keep up the great work, man. You're an inspiration. Thanks, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Ricardo Rodriguez, I'm Dr. Chris. This is UnSKripted. Have a good night, everybody.